Go live. It's a few second delay. All right. Good evening, Detroit. Today is the 13th of October, 2025. You are watching Detroit in Black and White presents Reality Strikes with Eric Brown. And I have two guests this evening. The first will be the Detroit Police Department Chief, Todd Bettison, followed by Jerjuan Howard. Jerjuan Howard is the executive director and founder of Umoja Debate League. And he also is the owner of the soon-to-be-open Howard Family Bookstore over on the west side. And we'll get more into that when he comes on. But I had to have my man, Chief Bettison, on, someone I have a great deal of respect for. Was fortunate enough to initially meet him when I was co-hosting the show Detroit in Black and White with Adolph Mongo and his crew, attorney Vanessa Moss, journalist Alan Lango, and former chief of police in Trenton, Jim Nardoni. And then the producer of the show was Lady T, Teresa. So then, as I was telling Chief Bettison before we came on, that the Monday night show for Detroit in Black and White has been turned over to me. So I got to have my own show, as I just stated. Detroit in Black and White presents Reality Strikes with Eric Brown. But one of the reasons I wanted to have Chief Bettison on, I'm a member of 100 Black Men of Greater Detroit, and we have done a few activities with Chief Bettison. He is the 2.0 version of Walk 'em Out with the Chief, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Walk 'em Out with the Chief was started by former Chief, immediate past Chief, James White, who has gone on to be the CEO and executive director of the, was it Wayne County Integrated Mental Health?
Yeah, Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network.
Okay, yeah.
DWIN for short.
Yeah, DWIN, you're right. So I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank those that are tuning in. Stick Shift Driver 1832, Karen Winston, always on. G Money, I didn't make it up to Michigan State. No, we were talking about, well, I didn't make it up to the Michigan State homecoming, but we were talking about the Urban Tailgate. And if I do attend that, I look forward to meeting you, G Money. Also, I want to welcome Jill Sheridan, who is a regular. And then we have Will Martin 9196. And, you know, all kinds of salutations and greetings to you, Chief Bettison. Wim Martin 9196, Detroit Chief. Excellent job, sir. And then G Money, who's a regular of all the Detroit in Black and White presentations. And I'm not sure if you can see the comments on the screen, Chief Bettison. But Chief, greetings, sir. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. And he said, welcome to Detroit in Black and White, because as you know, we look at the viewers that come onto the show as our co-host as well. So he's a regular, so he's welcoming you to the show. And again, I want to welcome you again. You're doing a phenomenal job. And I had you on primarily to talk about Walk 'em Out with the Chief, which will be taking place, your final one of the season, will be taking place this Wednesday, October 15th, over on the west side at Patton Recreation Center, which is located at 2301 Woodmere. And let me be specific, the southwest side, because we know how directionally affinity people have for their parts of Detroit. You know, you guys say north end, east side, you know, downtown area, Lafayette Park, you know, west side. So I wanted to be proper and let the people in the southwest Detroit area know that it will be in that part of town. The final one for the season, they have been a success. As I stated, 100 Black Men has pretty much co-sponsored two of them. The last one 2 weeks ago, and then 4 weeks ago, we sponsored the one over on the west side, right off the 96 freeway between Outer Drive and Telegraph, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the name of the facility. Excuse me for that. It was at a church, though. So again, welcome you, Chief Bettison, and tell the viewers, you know, how'd you get to where you are at right now, and what is Walk 'em Out with the Chief all about?
It's meeting folks where they are. You know, in the city of Detroit, a lot of times we are always asking people to come to where we are. And so you have an event, you say, hey, come to police headquarters. We're having all these resources for you. But, you know, it's really special when you take it off Main Street and put it on their street, on their block. And so I told my team, I wanted to make sure that we pop up in neighborhoods where Detroiters didn't expect me. I mean, just walking, whether it's through the hood, wherever it is, but everywhere I went, I was greeted with love. And folks was like, wow, you on my block, you out here. And the importance of it is, oftentimes people will get a chance to see me, and I try to stay off television because oftentimes I'm talking about something I don't want to talk about and updating the community. But being able to actually be out in your chief on your street, just kicking it. And with neighbors, because we got people, it became a unity thing. People from the west side, the southwest side, just all over, 100 black men, walking. And we don't just walk, we stop and we engage. And so when we pass a park and we see, our young men and women out at the park playing basketball, I'll even stop and shoot a couple hoops with them. We stop, we engage the seniors on the porch. And I try to lead a neighborhood better than I find it, right? So if it's I remember it being an abandoned boat on one street, it had been sitting there for over a year. I took it down and, had my people take the notes. And then we partnered with GSD, Department of Public Works, et cetera, and we get the stuff picked up for them. And so it's really about when you see something, just making it a little bit better for people, and then getting in health, promoting health and just unity. And so sometimes neighbors, we introduce neighbors to their neighbors. Yeah, and it's just been a good thing, Eric, and just a real great theme. And so I'm going to keep it up. And so who knows? Next year it might be 2 Mile Tuesday. I don't know. This year, getting in shape, it was Walk a Mile. Next year it might be 2 Mile Tuesday, or sitting on your porch with the chief, where I just come to your neighborhood, we kick it in a park, do a park takeover. But the bottom line is, Detroiters are proud of their neighborhoods, and they want to showcase and show off their neighborhoods. And my neighborhood police officers, it became a whole theme of neighborhood precincts competing with the next precinct to try to do that Walk a Mile Wednesday, who could get the most smokes out. And we fed people too. And so we had pizza. I had officers grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, and we just really made it a good time. And it was just a lot of fun. And I'm always trying to recruit your nieces and nephews to join the police department. So it's just been good.
And you also have the cadets there. And I was laughing. I mean, not laughing. I was chuckling. I was reading a comment from Dorian Denard. He's saying just scaring folks. And it's interesting he say that, because sometimes when they like when we did the first one with you, when they don't know that you're coming, they get this deer in headlight look on themselves, and they like, oh, hold up, what's going on? And I bring that up because when 100 Black Men did the first one with you, I live streamed it the whole time, and then the views and the comments, the amount of views and the comments that was on my Facebook page was just phenomenal. And I interviewed you as we were walking, and comments with regards to that, liking what we're doing. But me, Chief, it's just about being in the community and doing whatever I can to be an asset to move the community forward, as well as move our people forward. And that's one of the things I liked about the first time we participated, because the crowd that come out, like you mentioned, the people get fed. And it's not just junk food. There's health food there. There's fruit. There's the fruit snacks, which is very nutritional and healthy. You have nature blends. And then there's water. There's pop as well, but there's water. And the people just they do their thing. They come out, they support it. And you're right. From the two that I participated in, they definitely, the precincts that is, they definitely make it about a competition, because they want to show up and show out. And then the day that the Chandler Park Rec Center, or the Dome, the day that the Dome was open, I didn't make the Walk a Mile, but the nonprofit I work for, they participated. I saw some of the pictures, and that was done on the east side. And that was just a phenomenal turnout. Matter of fact, I think it was over at the same park where the picnic was held. I forgot the name of the park, but over there by Demi High School is in that area.
That was Skinner Park.
Yeah, Skinner, yeah, and people really turned out for that. So it's something that the people like as well, because you have a lot of organizations that come out in support of this initiative. Again, it was started by James White, so Walk 'em Out Wednesday 1.0, and then you took it to a whole nother level because people are familiar with it. The precincts get it out to the community, and the community come out, show up, take pictures with you, take pictures of all the police there, and they are very appreciative of what you all are doing by being out in the community.
Yeah, it's really a good thing. And, when folks post it on social media, because we got traditional media 247, 62, but when we're out there, and a lot of young people participate as well. That was a surprising thing. And that's what I really wanted to do, connect with young people. And so with the Walk 'em Out Wednesdays, walking with me, I got every age group, but a lot of young kids are out there. And when they go to social media and they post it, it makes a tremendous difference. And I was surprised that when I walked up on, and went to the parks and started talking to young kids, they actually knew who I was. I was surprised. And so, with your help, Eric, 100 Black men, people posted it on social media. It just makes a difference for us to be able to get our message out in a different type of way. And Detroiters want the same type of lifestyle, the same quality of life, because it's not just about violence all the time. We want the same quality of life that suburbanites have too. We want clean neighborhoods. We want blight free. Of course, we want safety as well. And I do see one of the questions that popped up where it says, what measures have you taken to upgrade the safety so that DPS, Detroit Public Schools, can continue to avoid mass shootings? Also, does the DPD still ride on city buses as extra protection to the citizens? So if you want me to take that, Eric, I can hit that one too.
Yeah, let me, before you take that, I want to bring up, because you talked about the young people that come out in support of Walk 'em Out Wednesday, in addition to the fact you have your police reserves there, you're recruiting nieces and nephews. And one thing I like about the police reserves being there is that it gives people opportunity to learn more about that program before diving into the deep waters of filling out an application to become a Detroit policeman. So that's one thing. And they do a good job. They do an amazing job. Then you have the one before last, you had, your HR department out there. You have your community relations persons out there, Captain Leonard. You have your communications persons out there. I forget her name. So she's out. You just have a lot of people out there that are, various parts of the department in case somebody want to know more than just about being a cop. You have other areas that they can learn about. So that's a good thing. So getting to the question, and one thing before you answer that, I have to applaud urban school districts first and foremost, because you don't see a lot of mass shootings at urban school districts. I remember back in the day, people got mad about having, even though you had an unfortunate incident last week at one of the DPS schools, but people got mad about the metal detectors. But understand, they are there for a reason, and not to be doing the compare and contrast, but had Oxford had it, you wouldn't have had that major event in Oxford, Michigan about a year and a half ago. So people need to be careful about what they're so critical of, because metal detectors do save lives. So getting to the questions about the mass schools, about the steps or measures you have taken to upgrade the safety so that DPS can continue to avoid mass shootings. And I think that's pretty much self-explanatory, but also what does DPD, or rather not DPD, still ride city buses to protect the residents?
So DPS, when it comes to mass shootings and what do we do to protect our children, because they're my children, but they actually have their own police department. So I believe they're the only school district in the state of Michigan that has a real police department. And so their chief of police is Chief Jackson. I was just with him this morning over at Gumper's, as they did the clap in for the
Gompers.
For the young students that were coming back, because we had an incident last week where a knife was introduced into the school by a child's mother and a stabbing occurred. But you haven't seen mass shootings in DPS in urban schools, but I'm going to talk about DPS because DPS, going back for as long as I can remember, has had metal detectors. They were criticized about it for a long time, just like you said, Eric. But, now other school districts are seeing the light. And when you think about it, they were innovative. They were protecting our babies. And now other school districts are getting metal detectors. DPS has always had, like I said, a police department with armed police officers. Not all of their guards are armed, but now you see other school districts in suburban land and across the country going towards having armed security, etc. So kudos to Nikolai Beatty and everybody who even came before him for having the forethought to do that. But DPD works very, very closely with them, and we support them tremendously. Now, in addition of what we've done to protect everybody, including kids, when it's events, we have what's called Evolve high-density metal detectors. And so the city of Detroit purchased about 30 of them. And so when it's a high school game and it's off-site or it's in a location, we actually loan our high-density metal detectors to Detroit Public Schools Community District. We'll move them around at Hart Plaza. When it's going to be a place of space, if you go to an event, we have the high-density metal detectors there as well. Somebody say, well, what does a high-density metal detector do? That allows you to walk through it without having to take everything out of your pocket, but it zeroes in on the high density of like a gun barrel or a knife so that you can walk through at a faster pace. Guess what, y'all? If y'all go to a Tigers baseball game, if you go to a Lions game, if you go to LCA, Little Caesars Arena,
LCA, right?
You're going through those same high-density metal detectors. So the city of Detroit, we purchased very good metal detectors to keep our citizens safe. And so we deploy those. We've even deployed them at our Peacenik at our park. So when you come to our events at our parks, we have them there, and we have it fenced and cordoned in a way so that when you come to an event, you know that you're going to be safe there with us and that it's a gun-free zone. In regards to DDOT, when I was deputy mayor, I was actually over DDOT, and so it has a special place for me. The Detroit Police Department now oversees the transit as far as the safety and security for it. And so we actually have officers that ride the bus. We do bus boardings. And if you go to the Rosa Parks Transit Center or you go to the Jason Hargrove Transit Center, you're going to typically see a Detroit Police Department vehicle sitting out front, walking through there to ensure the overall safety. When it comes to the city of Detroit, I call it the big three. And I'm not talking about Ford, General Motors, or Chryslers, or Stellantis now. I'm talking about the Detroit Police Department, the Fire Department, and then also DDOT. Those are some of the critical departments that it takes to run a city, because you can't have an effective city without effective transportation. And I have to keep the citizens that ride the bus safe, and I have to also keep our bus drivers safe, our drivers.
Right. And Dorian Denard has, I will encapsulate both of his comments into one, because you probably can't see the other one yet. He says, give folks a heads up, but definitely come through. And he's talking about meeting people in the community. It's important. Lots of people feel away about cops, but let them be themselves. That would be helpful. And that's interesting that he bring that up, Chief Bettison, because in both Walk a Mile Wednesdays I participated in, once the people see the police, particularly ones that don't know that you're going to be there, they're ecstatic and they're coming out because they don't know who are all police and who are just citizens joining in, and they giving high fives to everybody that's participating. So that's it's so good to be in the community. And then his second comment was with regards to fighting the mentality that cops in Detroit are the enemy isn't easy, but it's doable. And I agree with him because I tell people all the time. I mean, being in human resources, I'm not the enemy. I'm not the enemy. I'm there to do a job. I'm an intermediary between the company and the employees. But at the end of the day, a policy and a procedure is a policy and procedure. You have to address someone when they violate it. So it's very important that people, because I know when I was at a former company, I'm going to a company event and people act like they cannot be themselves. I'm like, we're not on the clock. You're not on the clock. You're not on the clock. Just be yourself. I'm not here, I don't drink, but if I see you drinking, that's your thing. Just don't embarrass yourself or the company, because right. Usually when you're out in public at a public event that the company is sponsoring, you're wearing some company paraphernalia. So just be cognizant of the fact of not embarrassing yourself or the company. So good comments, Dorian Denard. And then Wim, Martin, I'm not sure if you see this comment yet. Detroit is 5 times larger in size than DC. That's an incredibly large area to police. Detroit, I'm assuming you're talking about Detroit as a whole. It is. I mean, you have Detroit is one of the, in far as mass, Detroit is one of the largest cities in the country. Maybe not in population, we know it's not, but as far as square footage, square mileage, it's a very large city.
It is. And one of the things that we do is we have to use like what we call force multipliers. You know, we got to use technology. That helps tremendously. And then really connected with the community, because when you have community and policing and you have that trust and that bond, that's an unbeatable partnership right there. When the community is with you, and I'll bring this word up because so many of your listeners have now become familiar with it, which is the acronym CVI, Community Violence Intervention. We've had people that would help the police before it was any grant funding to fund it. We can go back to Detroit 300. I remember when New Era was out there walking the neighborhoods,
right,
engaging, looking for people that had harmed elderly, senior citizens, babies, etc. Shout out to Zeke, shout out to Boo, shout out to Minister Malik Shabazz, who's been doing it forever, who started this stuff. But they were out there, and that's what makes Detroit different. It's a certain love where it's a trust. And I'm not saying I'm not naive. We've had our issues with police and community relations, but as a whole, when you look at other places and you look at the city of Detroit, we have something special going on here, and it's even closer now. Just think of what happened like just this morning with everybody coming together for one purpose, putting egos aside over at the elementary school. I had the lieutenant governor out there. I had Council Pro Tem James Tate. I had Rashida Tlaib. I had so many people. Nikolai Vitti was out there. It was everybody, police, public school police, and neighborhood folks, just neighborhood folks, grandmas out there saying that we're going to come together unified for our children. But the city of Detroit is 140 square miles, and we have, I'll give you another example of technology as far as extra eyes and ears. We had a bad problem with carjacking in the city of Detroit back in like 2013. It was like carjack city. We had about 700 carjackings a year. It was so bad that we had to do something. So we started with a program called Green Light, where we was building a real-time crime center, and we allowed businesses, particularly gas stations at the time, fast food restaurants to Coney Island, to connect their video cameras into our real-time crime center. We branded it. We put up a green light. We put up some signage. We advertised it to the community, and we created safe havens where people could go and not worry about being carjacked. Folks wanted to know whether or not it worked. And so it did work. Over the years, we went from 8 gas stations to over 1,000 green light locations. And so as the number of green light businesses went up, the number of carjackings went down. Today, since 2013, compared to today, third quarter results, and I released this at the press conference last Monday, it's been an 88% reduction in carjackings in the city of Detroit. Just fell off the cliff. That lets you know that we're innovative in the city and that we can come up with strategies to successfully push crime down. So the third quarter results, and that's from January 1st to the end of September 30th, and I compare it 2013 to 2025. Back in 2013, it was 537 carjackings.
Wow.
At the close of the third quarter for year 25 this year, it was 64 carjackings. We went from having 537 back then to 64. And so now folks will say, Bettison, give me some whole numbers. Quit talking percentages. I want to know what you're really talking about. When I give you the whole numbers and I look at that, what I will tell you is, let me pull out the thing real quick. Pull it out. Carjackings, and I'll touch on homicides a little bit, but carjackings this year, as I already said, was 64. In 24, it was 90. In 23, it was 129. In year 22, it was 192. And so you see, every year we're working. It's steady declining. And we're doing that with our homicides as well. In 2022, we had 223 homicides at the end of the third quarter. This year, we've had 132. And what I will tell you, Eric, is this. To the 132 people that lost somebody that they love, what I'm talking about means absolutely nothing.
Right.
You know, what I'm talking about, so I'm not naive, but I will tell you that it's a whole lot safer, it's getting better, and us working together is something that you always talk about too, the educational system, Eric. As we work together and we really make this city where it needs to be in a spirit of continuous improvement, we're going to get our numbers down to even further levels, just like some of the other big cities that have been successful. Boston is one of the big cities that over the past 30 years, working through ceasefire, they have been able to really get their homicides under control. I know it's a different demographic. Boston doesn't have the poverty rate that we have. Their school districts isn't in the same condition that we're in. So I understand the socioeconomic factors that contribute to a high crime area. But I'm doing my part and will work with anybody to collaborate so that we can have a holistic approach.
And we'll be talking further because I did send you and Captain Leonard my proposal about, increasing the community involvement in educational literacy. That's something I'm working on with the Mayor of Southfield Lathrop, Kelly Garrett, and I have the full presentation for you, hopefully within a week. But I did send yourself and Captain Leonard a draft of that. And I've been getting a lot of positive feedback behind it because it's something that when you're passionate about something, it's easy to draft a roadmap of how you want something to be. Yep. So all that I sent you, it came from the heart, came from just a thought process. And I think it's very doable because at the same time, me and you grew up in a time where the village and the community meant something. We got to get back to involving the community, and success is subjective, just like education. And because you went to school to get a degree, that doesn't mean you're educated. You just went to school and got a degree. But we have to do a better job of getting people involved that have the skill set, at least, because you matriculated through college 4 years, another 2 years of grad school, have the skill set to play a dominant role or a major role in helping these kids go from being miseducated to being decently educated. And we have to turn that ship around in a quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah, I agree. My mother, I always bring up my mother. She was a Detroit public school teacher. She did 38 years. She retired from Irma Henderson over there on West Chicago on the west side. So, yep.
Yeah, and then someone, Dorian Denard, he talked about the community relations, and then he also talked about CVI, which you already addressed. And shout out to Captain Leonard. She's doing an amazing job with the community relations department. And let me get a couple more comments in because we only have a couple of minutes. G Money Hollywood made a comment. They always have treated DPS like it was prison. So we have metal detectors in high school since the early age. He's right. I mean, they've been since early. So I can attest to that. Then you have another comment. I'm trying to get these in. I think that the Q line should reinstall security on the train to free up the police from following the train at times.
Let me say, you know why we got to follow the train? Because I asked the same question. I was like, why do I got a police car following the train? Because people park on the tracks. And so we got to hurry up and make them cars move off the tracks. And, it's one of them things, man, but I want to figure out a way, but being able to tow the car off the tracks, but people just park on the train tracks.
And this is something you hear all the time because I hear it all the time. And I've been to a couple of, I'm going to bring Jerjuan in at the same time as, your last few minutes, I bring him on. But one of the things I hear all the time, and you see the question, I'm not sure if you see it, excuse me, I didn't pull it up. About the blue pigs. You hear that all the time, right?
So I'm going to do it. Guess I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Oh, man, I was just on Theo Broden's show and they brought up the blue pigs. And so I want to bring the blue pigs back, but we got to come up with a name because some people say a pig is derogatory, etc. And so Detroit, y'all gonna have to.
I mean, not to cut you off, that's what people know them as. I mean, the Blue Pigs. That was the, they used to come to high schools, junior highs, elementary schools. That was the thing.
Well, guess what, Eric? The Blue Pigs coming back. And so I'm going to get to working on the Blue Pigs. And if some community folks want to be a part of the singing group too, if y'all think y'all can sing and interact with kids and do some stuff, I'll let y'all try out too. So,
but you got to be specific, Chief Bettison. You want people that can sing, not sing, because everybody can't sing.
That's right. That's right.
So we got my man Jerjuan. I know you two know each other. So Jerjuan Howard has joined us, Chief Bettison. I got him in the next half an hour. I just wanted to have him say hello to you. You say hello to him before you leave.
How you doing, Chief?
I'm doing good, but I'm gonna give you a Detroit greeting. What up, though, Jerjuan?
Yeah, what up, though?
Yeah, how you feeling?
All is well, no complaints this way. How about you?
Man, I feel great. Anytime I see young, black, and greatness, man, when I see you, because in my line of work, we can see and everybody see and sometimes can get a little discouraged, but when we see people like you stepping up, and I have watched you a long time, and I just wanted to say, I'm saying it to your face, but behind your back, I was bragging on you at the beginning of the show. So I'm proud of you. I want you to keep on doing what you're doing and just pushing for young people because you're doing it in a big way.
I appreciate that, Chief. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so Chief, thank you for your time. We'll do it again soon. Also got to get Captain Leonard back on here because both of you are doing an amazing job. You as Chief, her as Community Relations Director, and kudos to you. And I forget the guy name that got the award at the Michigan Urban Youth Alliance award ceremony, but he's a part of Captain Leonard's team. And I saw him at the last Welcome Out with the Chief, and charges to my head, not my heart, because I know he know who I'm talking about, and I just forgot his name.
Was it Bryant George?
The young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
or
Brian.
It might have been Marcus Harris.
No, I know Mark. That's my frat brother. So it was Brian.
Okay, Bryant George over at PAL.
Yep.
Yep. That's him. Doing amazing. All right, guys. Take care.
All right, you too. Okay, that was Chief Bettison. I want to thank him for his time and an amazing conversation. I mean, it's one of them things you have someone like him on it. Half an hour is not enough, but he's also on the Adolph Mongo and Crew show often. So he'll be on there again soon. I just wanted to talk about Walking Out Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday. It's the last one of the season. And again, it will be over in the Southwest Detroit at Patton Recreation Center, starting at 6 o'clock. And Patton Recreation Center is at 2301 Woodmere. Now I have Jerjuan Howard, an amazing young man. I met him actually, I think 2 or 3 years ago, maybe closer to 3. And we just clicked, and I like everything that he's doing. I, echo everything the Chief said about him. And Jerjuan is the founder and executive director of Umoja Debate League. And he also is the owner of the soon-to-be opening Howard Family Bookstore that would be on the west side in the same neighborhood as the Umoja Park is what you call it, right, Jerjuan?
Umoja Village, but yes.
Village, that's right, Umoja Village. So tell the people a little bit about that. Also, make sure you mention the upcoming debate league season, as well as you're looking for some you're looking for some coaches.
Absolutely, yep. So, well, first, thank you for having me on the platform. I appreciate you, and as you said it, we've been knowing each other for about 3 years, and I think impact is contagious. And so when I seen what you were doing, and likewise, when I said we met literally off the 5K run for literacy that you were doing. And it kind of transpired into a bunch of other things. So I'm thankful for you for extending this platform to me.
I appreciate that.
For sure. So yeah, Umoja Debate League. I founded that organization back in 2021. My goal then was the same as my goal now, was to get Detroit youth thinking critically, to give them a platform to be confident public speakers, to resolve conflict in a healthier way, and increase literacy at the same exact time. And for myself, debate was the vehicle that kind of instilled some of those traits or skills into me. And I felt like it would be useful for Detroit youth to have the same exact thing. Now, myself, I took debate when I was in high school, but I started my debate league for middle schoolers. I felt that, you don't just become conscious of or start having questions once you get to 9th grade. That typically starts around 6th, 7th grade. You start kind of understanding the world, asking questions, becoming curious. And I feel like it was pivotal to get children at that stage, introduce them to the idea of debate and intellectual combat, for better words. So we started at one school, then jumped to 4. The league was born, and now we are currently in year 4 of actual programming, and we're hiring coaches. So we're inside of 25 schools now, 13 middle, 12 high schools, and we're looking for coaches to be pretty much the people that interact with the students directly. We administer our own curriculum. We have our own set of rules, rule books, topics, everything else. But we're hiring coaches. The stipend is $1,000 a month, and that's roughly for about 5 hours of work a week. 2 hours, 2 days after school, and then we have one staff meeting that we have on Wednesday. So anyone who is interested in training up young minds in a community-centered and culturally relevant way, please email a resume to info@umojadebate.org, and we'll get you scheduled for an interview, and hopefully you can join the family and make some impact with us.
And one thing, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm about to get into the bookstore now, but go ahead.
All right. And before we get in the bookstore, one of the things I appreciate about, the friendship we developed, I've been to quite a few of the events. I'm just amazed at the talent that has been at these debates. And I've been fortunate enough to be a moderator, even to the level of the semifinal round. And I tell people all the time that these kids are just amazing. And I really, once the season kick off, I'm going to do everything on my platform to advertise it, because I think the city really needs to see what you and your team is producing, in addition to the coaches and the schools that they represent, because we talk about the negative all the time. Absolutely. What you're doing is so positive that people really need to see this and get involved. That the debate I've been to, is no reason why that auditorium should not be full. There's no reason why the media should not be there, because if something were to break out, the media as well as the police will be there quicker than a Jimmy John delivery person. We have to get the people to understand that these young kids, these young future leaders, and there's some very talented individuals, they need the support of the community. They need the support of the parents. They need the support of the village. They need the support of people that look like them. I remember, I'm not sure if I shared this story with you, at one of my 5K events, as myself and a fraternity brother of mine were talking, we hear this girl sniffling, and she's literally crying, Jerjuan. I'm like, wow, you've seen the books I have at these events. And so we stopped talking and we're like, okay, are you okay? Her exact words to us was, I've never seen so many books with people that look like me on the cover. That right there speaks to how profound we are as a people when we see people that look like us doing something positive. And that's why it's so important to have particularly Black men now in front of as many Black young boys. And I'm talking about young men all the way up to the age of 24. It's important for Black men to be in front of these kids. I was at an event at Eastern Michigan University about 6 years ago. It's pre-COVID. And to hear a college student, and we're both college students, college grads, say that they have never seen so many Black men in a shirt and tie, and you in your freshman year in college, that really hit me. I was like, wow, you would think that someone would have seen a decent amount of Black men in one spot in a shirt and tie and a suit. So, we just have to be out there showing the community that there's a lot of positive things going on. And what you're doing with the Umoja Debate League, now you're about to open up a bookstore. So go ahead and tell the people about the bookstore that you're about to open.
Yeah, will do. And before I get into that, I do want to kind of touch on that exposure piece that you talked about. As the quote goes, it's very hard to become what you don't see. And wow. And I believe that if we really expose young minds to better options, then they'll take those better options. So much of what we see is like a lack of exposure. And, the point you made too about highlighting what takes place at our debate tournaments, and not just my program, I'm not saying just because it's mine, but it's really, really important for smart to become cool. It's really important for critical thinking to become cool. It's really important for leadership to become cool. And that takes the community actually supporting things. And that's reinforced to the child's mind, like, wow, okay, I can be smart and still get, the pats on the back as the basketball players, or whatever the case might be. But it's extremely important the community supports these initiatives because it reinforces the things that are important to the youth. You know what I'm saying? And that's priceless. You have to get their minds while they're early in order to really shape what they'll become. You know what I mean? So exactly what you said, I agree with you. And now what my ideology is with the things that we do is we combine youth development with community development. I've been saying this for years, that as you develop young minds, you must develop the areas in which they call home. And so we develop their young minds through debate, right? We expose them to topics. We expose them to body language, speaking eye contact, enunciation of words, research, case construction, all those things. While at the same exact time, we're trying to make positive changes to their community. And so Umoja Debate League started in my childhood neighborhood. It was the Umoja Debate team at the time. This is Puritan. Right. And so in 2022, in an effort to, kind of put our money where our mouth is in terms of community development, we bought 3 lots, and that became Umoja Village. So these lots we bought, we transformed. There's now a garden there. There's a stage. There's art. We have yoga sessions out there. It's a bunch that goes on in that space, and we transformed it. And step 2 to this community redevelopment is the Howard Family Bookstore. So this bookstore is 1 block away from Umoja Village, approximately about 6 or 7 blocks away from my childhood home. I used to walk past this building every day to and from school. It's been abandoned my entire life. Over 25 years, this building has been vacant. I've never seen it.
I never knew that. Hold up, Jerjuan. So you telling me that building where the bookstore is going to be was abandoned that long?
Yeah, my whole life. I've never seen the building activated ever. And in talking to people in the community, they confirmed, they said it was over 30 years that it's been vacant. But from just doing my own research, I've seen about 25. It might go back even further. So it's been vacant, right? And literally, like I said, my best friend used to live on this block. So I used to literally be on this block every single day from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so the opportunity came about last year to purchase the building, and we did so. I did so. And as you can expect, it was an abandoned building. It was empty, nothing, no lights, no water, no gas, no nothing. It was literally a shell of a building, and it had some stuff on the inside. It's been a full-blown rehab that's taken place to make that bookstore what it is now.
So the infrastructure that's there now, because I've been in the store. I mean, you've done some more work since I was in there. All of that is what you have done based on the shell that it was. Oh, wow.
Yep, all that's what we've done. And a nice chunk of that I've done with my own 2 hands. I've had help from some family members, some contractors. For some of the things, I don't really deal with HVAC or plumbing. A lot of the carpentry, myself and a few other people did ourselves. So it's been somewhat of a labor of love been poured into this building too, for financial reasons, to save some money. But also I want to get my hands on it and feel it and be a part of that process of what is being transformed into.
And with that being said, Dorian Denard has a comment. Critical thinking isn't taught in schools. What's your position on that comment?
I mean, I agree. I agree to some extent. I think I've had some teachers or some, like I said, debate is where I was in school. That was a class I took while I was in school. So it taught me some critical thinking. Now, I don't think schools education is as practical as it should be. I would definitely say that. I don't think that it equips a young mind to solve the problems that exist within his or her current conditions. I don't think it does that at all. And that is a component of critical thinking. But I mean, there's some bits and pieces to it, but not nearly as much as what we needed to do. That's why Umoja exists. If I believe that the schools were, teaching the critical thinking at the level that I think our children needed to be the leaders that Detroit and other cities need, then Umoja wouldn't exist. It exists because there are some gaps in our education system that have to be addressed. But I also think education is community. I think we would do ourselves a disservice by trying to put every single aspect of education into the hands of the school system. It
Right.
shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? It's not realistic, to be honest, for it to be that way. The school system is definitely, I wouldn't say it is a success right now. It's not. But there are some other elements at play that are also failing our kids and who should be held just as accountable. And that is the business community. That is the neighborhoods. That is a little bit everybody. We all play a role in that.
And it's interesting you bring that up, and I'm going to shoot you. And I was talking, I'm not sure how long you were listening prior to joining on live, but I'll shoot you a draft that I have, and everything you just talked about with regards to this draft. And an initiative is going to be called Adopt a School, Invest in the Future. And that initiative will involve getting the community to understand the role that they play in the educational process of these kids, K through 12. Because Absolutely. It's going to take people like myself, yourself, fraternities, sororities, the church, the business community, nonprofits, to really get involved to change this, to shift this paradigm from the negative numbers that we're seeing to get them to where, people do not understand this. Detroit used to be one of the number one school districts in the country once upon a time. Mm-hmm. We are very capable of getting it back there because one of the easiest things to fix is education. It's a very fixable and solvable problem, but the people have to be deliberate and intentional about making it happen. Yep. So to Miss Sheila's comment, we love the focus on interpersonal skills. Why is interpersonal skills so important to debating?
Man, the list goes on. They say that your resume might get you into the room, but once you're into the room, that's what gets you the job. So all those interpersonal skills is kind of what separates people, to be honest. I almost can tell, every day I meet somebody, not every day, but every so often I meet someone, they say, man, I took debate. And you can almost tell how they structure their words, how they structure their stories, how they structure their introductions, right? All these things are very, very key factors that debate teaches and interpersonal skills that are taught as well. We're in the age of technology and social media and everything else. And the conversation is not always just flowing the way that you and I are talking right now. It's even worse amongst young people. They don't always know how to talk. It is a taught skill. It's a trait that we learn.
This is how they talk. That's why they don't know how to talk.
Exactly. And the interpersonal skills that debate teaches it requires you, it forces you to interact with the person that you're up against. Right. So it's nowhere you can't hide behind a phone. You can't hide behind a computer screen. You can't hide behind your partner. You have to stand there firm and communicate. Right. And that translates. One of the key things about debate is that it's a transferable life skill. It translates to other areas of life. Our vision for this long term is create a pipeline for our children to become lawyers, leaders, and community change makers. But if they don't choose one of those paths, they'll still be equipped to do anything they want to do. You want to be an entrepreneur, for example, you must know how to communicate. Right. You want to be a doctor, you must know how to communicate with your patient. You want to be a journalist, you must know how to communicate. Right. So regardless of whatever, career path they take, where these skills are transferable and they're fundamental, I would even say, for it's a good adult, to be honest, not even just a debater.
And the next question, and it comes from G Money Hollywood. I'm looking forward to meeting G Money Hollywood because he listens to the Detroit in Black and White channel very often. And he asks, where he talks about you making a profound impact on young kids, continue to strive for excellence. But he also, you touched on this a little bit, but he asking, what inspired you to take an initiative to get involved in youth empowerment?
Well, first, thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And to answer your question, what inspired me? It's a combination of things. It's not one set answer, but I really began to dig deeper into our history, Black folks' history, probably when I was around in high school. Right. In high school, I read the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, and that really convicted me in a way to know that this man that, come from slavery, taught himself how to read and all these other things. It felt like, wow, I owe so much to not only him, but I started learning more about our ancestors and what they went through just for us to kind of be in the position that we're in. So there was a moral obligation from that standpoint. That's one piece that was really, really important to me. After that, my own family, people that poured into me coming up. And my family wasn't the most pro-Black. You know, we didn't have red, black, and green flags hanging up and everything like that. But they instilled some values into me. Just take care of your neighbors. If you can help somebody, do so. And I seen them sacrifice a lot, you know, for me. So it was a family obligation. And then, you know, my teachers and stuff too, they poured into me at a young age. And I know how pivotal some people were to my own development, to the point where it's like, yo, you know, if you have all this stuff that was put into you for a reason, whether I knew it at the time or not, I think it was, you know, it was mandatory, to be honest, for me to do the exact same, if not more, for those that are coming up after me.
And let's stay there for a minute, Jerjuan, because Miss Sheila has a comment. Parents should be the first child teacher. And I want to put an emphasis on that because I agree with that. But at the same time, my caveat is we have to understand the state of education in a lot of urban communities have parents that were miseducated or not educated at all. So it's hard for them to be that teacher, in my opinion, because just like the quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, you cannot ask a bootless man to lift himself up by the bootstraps.
Right.
Under the same token, if you have an uneducated parent, you cannot ask an uneducated parent to be that teacher because they don't know. And that's why it's so important for the village to play a role. And you mentioned, you know, family, you know, it's about and I tell people all the time, I don't know to this day, you know, my father's no longer with us, but I don't know to this day if he even had a GED. But the one thing I do know about both him and my mother, who I lived under the same roof with until I was 21, and they got divorced. What I do know about both of them is that education was important. They understood the significance of getting an education, just like you brought up Frederick Douglass. And people really need to understand the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. Go out and read it, do some research on him, because this is someone that taught himself how to read and became one of the greatest orators in the world, not just in America, but in the world, traveling all over the world to give speeches. So, yes, the first teacher should be the parent, but there's a caveat to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know, I think responsibility is responsibility at the end of the day. You know, I think parents do have and I don't have children yet, but period, like parents should be responsible for the children they bring into this world. Now, the community does also have responsibility too. There's levels of accountability, in my opinion, on how this goes. You know what I'm saying? Anything that comes from up out of your household, you should be responsible for. I agree. Anything that comes out of our communities, we're responsible for.
Right.
I agree. Right. So like both things are true. It's just you right. I mean, it's a tough task to try to raise a child sometimes when their parent is not doing so, because these are habits that they're taught and everything else that goes along into it. But yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with what she said, but you know, in a more realistic world, it's not just that simple.
And to your point, when I was the president of the Detroit Alumni Chapter Kappa Psi, and we have a youth group known as Kappa League, and one of the things I always tell the parents, we're training young men for leadership. We're not trying to replace you as a parent. We appreciate you giving them to us the time you do give them to us. But again, we're not trying to replace you and your role. We're just adding another component for them to be a better person and to teach them how to become or understand the value of being a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, man, I could realistically right now name about 10 different people who taught me something different, you know, with my upbringing. Like I took bits and pieces, and some people I just watched myself, you know, and learned what to do and sometimes what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Depending on who that individual was. But yeah, you're right. No, and nobody replaced, you know, what my mom or my pops instilled into me. It's just, it was a different lesson. It was a different perspective that I got from that person. And I'm thankful for it. Like I said, because even if it wasn't the best things that I saw, it was like, okay, I ain't gonna do that, or, you know, whatever that might have been. But it was exposure still.
Right. And it's all about, you know, appreciating someone taking the time to see in you the potential that you have. And that's some of the experiences I had. I mean, I have a twin brother. I tell people this story all the time.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought you knew that. Yeah, I have a twin brother. So I went to Murray Wright. He went to King. I transferred to King because they had a better track team at the time. So I transferred to King. But what happened was I was in class one day and it was trigonometry. So it was algebra 3. She asked him a question. And, I don't know if he knew the answer or didn't know the answer, but he didn't answer. She said to him in front of the whole class, I bet if I had asked Eric that, he would have answered. That's the reason I transferred back to Murray Wright, because I told the teacher after class, how dare you pit us against each other?
Right.
He has a different way of studying. I have a different way of studying. I catch on to things quicker than he did. I was known as that exceptional student, but don't put us or pit us against each other by saying, had I asked Eric that. But that was the reason why I transferred back to Murray Wright, for that very reason, because we're two different people. We were in the womb together. We came out separately because I came out first, but we're not the same person. So that was just unfair for her to even make that comment.
And what you just explained too is, I think, a very, very good example of why the education system does not work for everybody. It kind of puts us all on the same linear track. And everyone doesn't learn the same way. Everyone doesn't engage with things, the same exact way. It's too cookie cutter. And I think, and I truly believe that people's genius shows in different ways, especially our students. I've met some young people who grades were not the best, but when I begin to talk to them, like, yo, this might be a young genius. And it doesn't translate into test taking. You know what I'm saying? So so there are some things that must be, really, really looked at with, great detail about the education system and how it leaves some people out, even intentionally. Sometimes I would even go as far as saying.
And that's why I appreciate what you do, because we were able to use a couple of your young scholars in we being 100 Black Men of Greater Detroit in the political forum we had earlier this year. And the job that both the young lady and the young man, I think the young man is only a freshman in high school or sophomore. Yeah, Michael. And then the young lady, I think she was a graduating senior going into her senior year, and they did a phenomenal job. But all of that was because of my interaction with you, my participating, supporting your event, seeing some amazing, because I wanted the young lady from Cody, because I just think she's a beast.
Yeah, she is. She's going. I forget what college she's going to, but yeah, she's doing really well.
Yeah. So, but just watching these young people just grow before your eye, like Alan, just to see him from when he was in middle school. Yep. To being at CAS, the student representative to the Detroit Board of Education school board. I mean, that's my guy now. When I see him, every time I see him, he come out his way to say hello. And that just goes to show that he has a good upbringing. He understands the power of respecting your elders. I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job. And, I forgot who I was with recently. And, Jamaria, because he called him Young Jay, referring to you. I don't know if you knew that. He referred to Alan Jamaria Hall.
Oh, Jamaria Hall, call him Young Jay.
Jamaria, he called Alan Young Jay.
That's funny.
So, because we were at the last school board meeting last month, and Alan was having some difficulties with the role that he has. I told him, but you have a role that is very impactful to the rest of the student body in the city of Detroit. Take advantage of that. You have a voice. You may not have a voice on the stage, but you have a voice amongst the 50,000 students that are students in DPSCD. And that was my advice to him. Use that to your advantage.
Yeah, I think I'm actually give him a call tomorrow, just to check and I haven't checked in on him in a couple of weeks.
Good idea, Jerjuan, because tomorrow's a school board meeting. So give him a call tomorrow before the school board meeting. That starts at 6 o'clock.
I'm gonna be out of town. I'm be in Kalamazoo tomorrow.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I would have came. Where is this one going to be at? I probably can join virtually though.
Oh, you can join virtually. But it said DP. I mean, it's DPS. It's at Martin Luther King.
Okay, say King.
Right. Yeah. If you can, give him a call because he could use your voice. One of the other comments.
I see. He said, "No, you not to be a good communicator, to be a great journalist anymore. You need to be a good news reader." That's true. That's
Yes,
true.
now, I mean, we don't have the Walter Price and Bernard Shaw anymore.
Right. But no, the point that I was just trying to say was the skill of debate is transferable. You know what I'm saying? If you learn, if you master debate, then you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it goes to to the next comment from Miss Sheila, to what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. Debate will help. Yep.
So give the viewers, again, information about Umoja Debate League and, how they can get involved. You may not have the schedule yet for the season, but, just
absolutely.
Let them go to the website.
Yeah, so our website is www.umojadebate.org. Again, that's www.umojadebate.org. You can sign up to be a volunteer or just join our newsletter where we'll be sending out regular updates. Our Instagram is Umoja Debate League. Umoja Debate League. Umoja, again, is UMOJA Debate League. The garden that we spoke about is our social media. Our Instagram is umoja.village. Again, that's umoja.village.
So I put the website on. What's the Instagram?
Umoja Debate League.
Oh, shoot.
Yep, Umoja Debate League. And then the other Instagram is umoja.village. And for updates, if you all are avid readers like myself and Mr. Eric, the Howard Family Bookstore, we don't have a public date yet that I can give you all for the grand opening. But stay tuned for that. If you follow our Instagram,
so get an address.
Yeah. The address to it is 13803 Puritan, Detroit, Michigan, 48227. Again, we're not open up for business yet. We have to get a couple things done. The city still had an inspection today. We got to get a couple things fixed before we can open our doors for business. But, we'll be looking at hopefully within the next 30 days opening up. But stay tuned. We follow the Instagram. You will be able to kind of see some regular updates that myself and the team will be posting about the grand opening date and everything else. But
and one of the things I want to mention, me and you talked about this during the month of March is National Reading Month. And what the 100 Black Men is looking to do is hold our March 2026 meeting at Umoja Debate League. At Howard Family Bookstore. And in addition to that, we will give part of the meeting will have an opportunity for 3 Black authors to be on the panel to talk about why they wrote what they wrote, as well as talk about the books that they have. And we will also be giving away books at that very event. So look for a future date. Whatever the third Monday in March 2026 is, we will be collaborating with Jerjuan Howard and the Howard Family Bookstore to host our 100 Black Men, a Greater Detroit meeting at that facility and feature some Black authors, Jerjuan Howard, including himself, because he is an author, and just talk about their book, why they wrote the book, what was the motivation for it. And it's be focused on the need to highlight, Black men and Black authors in particular.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Mr. Brown. Always. Thank you.
All right. Somebody asked for the address again.
The address is 13803 Puritan, Puritan. That's Detroit, Michigan, 48227.
And then one last comment, Mr. Howard, I knew what you meant. I was pointing out how American journalism is at an all-time low, right? And I agree with that. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, me too.
I want to thank you, Jerjuan. You my man. Continue the great things you're doing. Good luck with the bookstore. Good luck with the upcoming season of the Umoja Debate League. And we had talked because I probably will, the right situation, I'll probably join on to be a coach.
Okay. Let's do it. You know you got a spot if you want one.
Yeah, I just got to debate if it's gonna be the middle school or the high school level. We have to have some further talk on that. You tell me where you think I fit in at.
Yeah, it depends. Middle school is more intro. You can mold them a little bit more in terms of their skill set. High schooler is more advanced. But yeah. It's up to you, but we'll talk more.
All right. So I want to thank you. I want to thank all the viewers and listeners. Again, Jerjuan Howard, founder, executive director of Umoja Debate League, also the owner of Howard Family Bookstore. And prior to him, we had Chief Todd Bettison of the Detroit Police Department. The final welcome mile with the chief is this Wednesday over at Patton Rec Center, 2301 Woodmere, and that's on the southwest side of Detroit. And I'm being specific because people are so attached to their areas of the city. So it is in southwest Detroit. So again, thanks, Jerjuan. Good luck to you. We'll talk soon.
Peace. Thank you.
All right. So I want to thank all this evening. Detroit in Black and White presents Eric Brown of Reality Strikes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. The tape of this will be out in probably about an hour. I will post it out on social media. And again, can't thank you all enough for tuning in, taking time out of your busy week to start a new week. And you rock with me for an hour. Until next Monday, the 20th, whom I will have on the show is James Harris, at-large city council candidate, City of Detroit, and Whitney Clark, 5th District, write-in candidate, City Council. So until next week, peace and love, and see you then. Enjoy the rest of your week.